The night Ethan won the NCAA championship, he celebrated by kissing the head cheerleader in front of the entire arena. Everyone waited for me to lose my mind. Instead, I was wearing his teammate Logan's jersey, lying in his bed. Later, I became Logan's girlfriend. Nathan didn't realize he'd lost me until it was too late. When he finally saw us together, he crushed a whiskey glass in his bare hand, his eyes red with regret. Chloe, you were supposed to be mine. The final buzzer sounded, and the entire ice arena erupted into chaos. Nathan was about to confess his love to that gorgeous cheerleader. He had warned his teammates beforehand, making sure everyone kept me in the dark. What he didn't know was that some drama-loving bystander had already DM'd me the whole plan on Snapchat. After all, everyone on the varsity hockey team knew I was head over heels for Ethan. My biggest dream was to be his girlfriend. So the moment Ethan fell in love at first sight and confessed to another girl, I was supposed to rush down to the ice, crying, screaming, and making a total fool of myself. The crowd in the stands was practically drooling, waiting for me to lose my mind and crash the party. Too bad for them. Even after their high-profile kiss ended, I still hadn't shown up. The crowd outside the rink started to lose interest when no drama happened. Even Ethan's face didn't look all that happy. He wrapped his arm around his new girlfriend and pulled out his phone. Not a single call, not a single text. Ethan frowned slightly. He slid his phone away and held the trophy high above his head. Tonight we celebrate. After party at the bar on me. The players and students in the arena instantly cheered. Go home. Go home and change. What the hell are you even wearing, Ethan? I cut him off, taking a slow step forward. He frowned again. Chloe, be reasonable. I smiled, pulled out my phone, pulled up a billing page, and turned the screen toward him. This is the money I advanced for your custom hockey sticks and protective gear. I stared straight into his eyes. Pay me back now. Ethan's face instantly darkened as he stared at the screen. Chloe, what kind of game are you playing now? You really will do anything to get my attention, won't you? Digging up old receipts. Ethan stared at me, convinced I was just throwing a tantrum. I don't care about this pocket change. If you're that desperate for money, I'll Venmo you double. He pulled out his phone. No need for double. Just the original amount is fine. I'm blocking you after this. From now on, your new girlfriend can handle all your annoying chores. With that, I didn't give him another glance. I turned around and walked away. Ethan stood frozen on the ice until my figure vanished from sight. His face was still incredibly tense. His teammates quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Man, Chloe is just trying to save face. Don't take it seriously. Trust me, Ethan, she'll regret this before the night is over. She'll probably come crawling back to you crying tonight. Ethan let out a cold laugh. Let her play her games. If we hadn't grown up together, I wouldn't have tolerated her for this long. Alright. Don't let her ruin the mood. We won the championship tonight. Let's party. Ethan looked at the hot cheerleader next to him. He quickly threw my annoying face to the back of his mind. I knew that by tomorrow's training session, I would show up like nothing had happened. I would be sitting in the very front row, holding water and a towel, waiting like a puppy for him to finish practice. We had seen this exact script play out way too many times over the years. By the time I walked out of the arena, the rain was pouring. I stood under my umbrella, thinking about the terrifying nightmares I had been having lately. In those dreams, because Ethan confessed to Brianna, I threw a massive fit to force him to break up with her. I ran out onto the highway in the middle of the night, and what happened? I was hit by a speeding SUV. I broke 2 ribs and almost died. Ethan only stayed at the hospital for 5 minutes before leaving me. They forced me to drop out of college and sent me back to my alcoholic parents. In the end, I died miserably in a trashy, run-down apartment. And after I died, the one who came to collect my broken body was actually the man I had always avoided and feared. Ethan never showed up, not once. Over the past few days, everything from those nightmares had started coming true. If it weren't for those warnings, I would have thrown my umbrella away by now, spam calling Ethan's phone, ready to throw another suicidal tantrum on the road. I was so grateful for those dreams. It felt like a second chance at life. I could finally rewrite my miserable fate, step by step. On my 3rd try, the call finally went through. I gripped my phone tightly, pressing it to my ear. The name Logan Vance lingered on the tip of my tongue, before I slowly spoke it aloud. The heavy rain drowned out the noise of the world. Through the receiver, Logan's deep, slightly tired voice came through. Chloe, Logan, it's raining so hard. I'm stuck outside the arena. Can you come pick me up? The other end went dead silent. For a few seconds, I gripped the umbrella handle so hard, my palm began to sweat. In my dream, when Logan collected my body, he cried. A man who was absolutely ruthless on the ice rink had cried like a baby. For the first time. Later, he changed his jersey number to my birthday, stepped over Ethan, and climbed to the absolute peak of the professional league. My eyes welled up with tears and a small sob escaped my throat. Why are you crying? Logan's voice suddenly cut through. It was still cold, even slightly impatient. I didn't say I wouldn't come. When will you be here? Wait there 20 minutes. Okay, I'll wait for you, Logan. He didn't say another word and hung up. By the time Logan arrived, I was completely soaked. He got out of the car. His thin lips pressed into a tight line, his expression icy. I brushed away my wet bangs and looked up at him with a bright smile. Logan, you're so on time. Chloe, are you trying to get yourself killed by being this stupid? With a tense face, he grabbed my arm, shoved me into the passenger seat, and tossed a soft blanket over me. Dry yourself off. Don't ruin my car. He glanced at me through the rearview mirror and smoothly put the car in drive. Oh, I'll wrap myself tightly in the blanket like a good girl. I couldn't help but steal glances at him while he focused on the road. When he had no expression, he always looked incredibly distant and intimidating. Plenty of girls at school liked him, but none of them dared to confess. He and Ethan were not just roommates, they were rivals on the ice. Back then, I used to go to the locker room every single day to bring Ethan milk. Every time I went, Logan looked like he absolutely loathed me, slamming his locker door shut with an icy glare. Even now, though he came to rescue me, he was still acting so cold. When he shoved me into the car earlier, his grip was so tight, my wrist was still throbbing, leaving a faint red mark. It was impossible to tell that this guy had been crying for years. Everything in the dream had happened exactly as predicted. But now, because of my changes, the timeline was shifting. Would Logan still love me if he didn't actually like me? Wouldn't my sudden behavior just be a massive annoyance to him? Back to the dorms, Logan suddenly turned his head to glance at me. My heart skipped a beat, and before I could stop myself, the words slipped out. No, to your place. Logan gripped the steering wheel, letting out a mocking chuckle. Ethan's having a huge championship party tonight. Are you trying to use me to make him jealous? I gripped the edge of the blanket, twisting it tighter and tighter. I'm not. The car suddenly screeched to a halt by the curb. Logan turned his body toward me, the coldness in his eyes making my chest tighten. Chloe, don't bring me into whatever sick game you're playing with him. I'm not. He stared at me for a long second, then pulled out his phone. I'll call you an Uber. Go back yourself. Logan, I bit my lip hard, reaching over to snatch his phone away. He stared at me, but his eyes didn't hold anger or disgust. Instead, they were incredibly dark, swirling with emotions he was trying to hide. Suddenly, a wave of sadness washed over me. Logan, I don't want to go back to the dorms. Everyone is laughing at me and I'm scared to go home. Can you just let me stay at your off-campus apartment for tonight? I hid his phone behind my back, my voice growing softer and softer. I won't bother you. My clothes are completely soaked. The moment I finished speaking, tears rolled down my cheeks one by one, silent and heavy. Logan didn't say another word to me, but he started the car again, drove toward his apartment. I followed Logan into his apartment. He walked over to his closet, pulled out a clean training jersey and tossed it to me. Bathroom's over there. He was tall, so his jersey was massive on me. It barely covered my thighs. After my shower, I threw the jersey on and walked out. Logan took one look at me and immediately averted his eyes. I walked over to his bed and sat down. My damp, long hair dripped quickly, wetting his sheets. It smelled completely like Logan now, his shampoo, his body wash. In this small enclosed space, a thick, unspoken tension began to brew. Logan grabbed his pack of cigarettes and cleared his throat. I'm going out for a smoke. He walked out onto the balcony. I looked around his room with curiosity. Light gray sheets, neat and clean. A black gear bag sat half open in the corner. Just as I was about to look at the trinkets on his desk, my phone suddenly rang. Ethan's name flashed on the screen. I didn't pick up. He immediately called again. I blocked him on Snapchat, but I had forgotten to block his actual number. I quickly blocked his number too, and threw my phone back into my bag. Logan, I called out toward the balcony. He quickly turned around, stubbed out a cigarette, and walked back in. What? I sat on the bed, having to tilt my head up to look at him. Logan locked eyes with me for 2 seconds before looking away again. But I noticed the tips of his ears were turning a faint shade of red. I got your bed wet. What should I do? He glanced at me, then down at the oversized jersey clinging to my damp body. His Adam's apple bobbed heavily. He turned around and grabbed a towel, tossing it to me. Dry it. It'll be fine. With that, he turned to grab the hairdryer from the living room. I held the towel, thinking about how his ears had just flushed and couldn't help but smile. Can you dry it for me? My hands are tired. He stared at me for a few seconds, eventually giving in. With one hand holding the hairdryer, he gently pulled at my collar to reach my back. The jersey's collar was already too wide. As he pulled, the fabric slid down, exposing a large portion of my bare shoulder. I clearly felt Logan freeze. Where are you going? He pulled back his chair, not even turning around to the gym room to work out. Oh, I sat on his bed, feeling a bit let down. Logan grabbed his headphones, but before he could put them on, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, shot me a look and pressed answer. Ethan, what's up? My chest tightened, and I subconsciously held my breath. Yeah, I'm at my apartment. You said someone saw Chloe coming here? Logan turned around to look at me again. Before he could finish, I jumped off the bed. I strode over, climbed onto his lap, and wrapped my arms tightly around his neck. As Logan tried to push me away, I pressed my lips against his ear. Logan, tell him I'm not here. My body was pressed flush against his chest. An instant, Logan's body heat flared, burning hot. I could see the veins on his neck bulging slightly. His Adam's apple rolled violently, and his heart was hammering against his ribs. I looked up at him, and he stared down at me. Deep in his eyes, a dark, heavy desire began to pool. No, they saw wrong. She's not my girlfriend. We aren't close. Logan spoke into the phone and hung up immediately. He tossed the phone aside, his long fingers gripping my waist tightly through the thin jersey. He pulled me flush against him. I could feel the hard heat of his body. My mind went completely blank, and my first instinct was to pull away. But Logan only held me tighter. Chloe's voice was incredibly husky. His hot breath fanned over my ear and neck. I shrank back, trying to dodge, but his lips slammed down onto mine. Don't tease me unless you want to regret it. Logan's warning hung between them. Chloe's pulse pounded in her ears. She quickly lifted a hand and pressed it against his chest, creating a little distance between them. I'm sorry. The room fell silent. Logan closed his eyes for a second before releasing her waist completely. He stood up so abruptly that the chair scraped across the floor. I told you not to play games with me. I'm not playing. His jaw tightened. You climbed into my lap while your ex was on the phone. I only wanted Ethan to stop looking for me. And after that? Chloe lowered her eyes. I don't know. Logan let out a slow breath, running a hand through his hair. That's the problem. You don't know. And I'm not going to be someone's rebound. Those words struck harder than she expected. She remembered the nightmare. In that future, Logan had silently loved her for years without asking for anything. She couldn't bear the thought of hurting him now. I wasn't using you. Her voice was quiet but steady. I came here because when I needed someone, you were the first person I thought of. Logan didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the kitchen and poured 2 glasses of water. He handed one to her. Drink. She obediently took it. After several long moments, he finally spoke. You've liked Ethan since middle school. I know. You've spent years chasing him. I know. So tell me one reason I should believe you've suddenly moved on overnight. Chloe looked down at the glass in her hands. Because I died once. Because I watched the future destroy me. Because you were the only one who cried for me. None of those were things she could say. So instead she answered honestly. I don't expect you to believe me. She smiled bitterly. I'm tired. Tired of begging someone to choose me. The apartment grew quiet again. Logan watched her for a long time. For the first time since she'd met him, the ice in his expression softened just a little. You can stay tonight. But tomorrow you go back to campus. And if you're serious about leaving Ethan behind. He met her eyes. Prove it with your actions. Meanwhile, the championship party was in full swing. Music blasted through the sports bar. Players were taking pictures with the trophy. Brianna laughed beside Ethan as people congratulated them. Yet Ethan kept checking the entrance every few minutes. One teammate nudged him. Dude, relax. You said Chloe would show up. She always does. Yeah. He checked his phone again. Blocked. Snapchat. Blocked. Instagram. Blocked. Text. Blocked. Even Venmo showed that she'd accepted his repayment and removed him from friends. His smile slowly disappeared. Another teammate laughed. She's really committing to the act this time. Ethan forced a chuckle. She'll be over it tomorrow. But as midnight came and went, Chloe never appeared. The next morning, campus exploded. Someone had snapped a blurry photo of Chloe getting into Logan Vance's car outside the arena in his oversized jacket. Another student posted a second picture taken outside Logan's apartment building just after midnight. The captions spread across the university forum in minutes. Captain Ethan celebrates with the cheerleader, while Chloe spends the night at Logan Vance's place? Did the biggest love triangle on campus just flip? Comments flooded in. No way. Isn't Chloe obsessed with Ethan? Since when does Logan let anyone near him? Forget Ethan. I'm more shocked Logan actually picked someone up in the rain. When Ethan opened the forum after waking up, the first thing he saw was Chloe smiling beside Logan's black SUV. The coffee mug in his hand slipped. It shattered across the kitchen floor. His roommate frowned. Ethan. He didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the photo, zooming in again and again. Logan's jacket. Logan's car. Logan's apartment. For the first time in over 10 years, Chloe hadn't come looking for him. She had gone to someone else. By lunchtime, the rumor had evolved into something much bigger. Someone claimed they had seen Chloe leave Logan's apartment wearing his hockey jersey. Someone else swore Logan had skipped his usual 6 a.m. solo practice. Within hours, the campus forum had a new trending title. Has Ice King Logan Vance finally fallen? Even students who didn't follow hockey were gossiping. When Chloe walked onto campus, conversations stopped. Instead of the usual sympathetic looks she'd gotten whenever Ethan ignored her, people stared with open curiosity. That's her. She really stayed over. I thought she'd be crying after Ethan's confession. She looks happier. Chloe ignored every whisper. She headed straight toward her morning lecture. Just before she reached the classroom, someone blocked her path. It was Brianna. The cheerleader crossed her arms. So, you've moved on pretty fast. Chloe blinked. I guess. Brianna frowned. I wasn't trying to steal Ethan from you. I know. You're not mad. Chloe smiled politely. No. Brianna had prepared an entire speech. An apology. Maybe even an argument. Instead, she stood there speechless while Chloe simply walked around her. Weird. Across campus, the hockey team had just started training. Coach blew his whistle. Warm-up laps. Everyone rushed onto the ice. Except Ethan. His attention stayed on his phone. Still blocked. He opened Chloe's profile from another account. No new posts. Then he noticed something strange. Her profile picture had changed. For years, it had been a picture of him lifting a championship trophy. Now, it was a picture of a sunrise over a frozen lake. No people. No captions. Nothing about him. His chest felt oddly tight. Captain, Coach shouted. You planning to skate today? Ethan snapped out of it. Sorry, Coach. Practice ended an hour later. As the team walked out of the arena, one player suddenly elbowed Logan. Look. Everyone turned. Across the parking lot, Chloe was standing beside Logan's motorcycle. She was holding 2 coffees. The moment she spotted Logan, her entire face lit up. I wasn't sure what you liked, she said, holding out a cup. So I bought 3. She lifted the drink tray. Black. Latte. And mocha. You can pick. The surrounding players froze. One whispered. She actually bought Logan coffee? Another muttered. I've never even seen Logan accept water from anybody. Logan glanced at the tray, then at Chloe's hopeful expression. Without saying a word, he picked up the black coffee. Thanks. The entire team nearly stopped breathing. He accepted it. No way. I thought he'd ignore her. Even Logan seemed surprised by his own actions. He took a sip. Too sweet. Chloe looked horrified. It says no sugar on the receipt. Logan looked at her for a second. Then, almost imperceptibly, the corner of his mouth lifted. Bothering you? She stared. Did you just make a joke? A few teammates gasped louder than before. Logan smiled. Someone record this. That's historical evidence. Logan shot them a cold glance. The group instantly scattered. Ethan had watched the entire exchange from the arena entrance. His expression grew darker with every passing second. He remembered all the mornings Chloe had waited for him outside practice. Coffee, breakfast, fresh towels, lucky wrist tape. He had accepted everything without thinking. Sometimes he hadn't even thanked her. Now, she was standing there, smiling at Logan exactly the way she used to smile at him. Something inside Ethan twisted painfully. For the first time, he wasn't irritated. He wasn't amused. He was jealous. Without thinking, he started walking toward them. Chloe. She turned. Oh, her voice was calm. Captain. Not Ethan. Not the nickname she'd used since they were 12. Just, Captain. The unfamiliar distance in her voice hit him harder than any body check he'd ever taken. The parking lot fell completely silent. Even the players pretending to stretch slowed down. Everyone could feel something was about to happen. Ethan forced a smile. You don't have to call me that. Chloe tilted her head. What should I call you? Ethan. Oh, she nodded politely. I'll think about it. His smile stiffened. That wasn't the answer he expected. For over 10 years she'd been the one chasing after him, looking for excuses just to say his name. Now she acted as though it didn't matter. Ethan cleared his throat. I've been trying to contact you. I know. You blocked me. I know. Why? Chloe looked genuinely confused. We're not together. We're not even close friends anymore. So why wouldn't I? For a moment, Ethan couldn't answer. One of the freshmen whispered. Did Chloe just reject talking to Ethan? Another quietly replied. I think she did. Ethan ignored the whispers. You've known me your whole life. And, we can't just cut each other off. Chloe smiled faintly. We can. It's actually pretty easy. She lifted the empty coffee tray. I already returned your keys. I got my money back. I blocked your number. I even removed your emergency contact from my phone. There isn't really anything connecting us anymore. Each sentence landed like another punch. Ethan stared at her. You're serious? I am. Logan, who had been standing beside her the entire time, finally spoke. You done. His tone wasn't hostile, just cold. Ethan's eyes shifted to him. This doesn't concern you. Logan slipped one hand into his pocket. It does if you're keeping us from leaving. The word us echoed in Ethan's head. Us. Not her. Not Chloe. Us. His jaw tightened. When did you two become so close? Logan looked at him without expression. When you weren't paying attention. The parking lot went dead quiet. Even coach, walking out of the arena, paused. One defenseman muttered. That was brutal. Another rubbed his arms. I just got chills. Ethan laughed once. It wasn't a happy laugh. So that's how it is. He looked back at Chloe. You've known him for what? 2 days. And suddenly you're choosing him over someone you've known for 10 years? Chloe didn't hesitate. I'm choosing myself. The answer made Ethan's expression crack. You don't mean that. I do. You'll regret it. She shook her head. No. I regretted spending 10 years hoping you'd eventually look back. I don't regret walking away. For the first time since they were children, Ethan had nothing to say. Logan glanced at Chloe. You hungry? Her eyes immediately brightened. A little. I know a place. Can we get fries? You just had breakfast. I always have room for fries. Unbelievable. Despite the complaint, Logan reached over and casually took the empty coffee tray from her hands, so she wouldn't have to carry it. It was a tiny gesture, so small most people wouldn't notice. But Ethan did, because Chloe used to carry everything for him. His equipment, his drinks, his extra skates, his backpack, without complaint. Now another man was quietly doing those things for her. Logan opened the passenger door of his SUV. Ladies first. Chloe grinned. Such a gentleman. Get in before I change my mind. She laughed as she climbed inside. It was light, natural, nothing like the nervous, desperate smile she'd always worn around Ethan. The door shut. The engine started. As the black SUV drove away, Ethan remained standing in the parking lot, staring after it until it disappeared around the corner. One teammate cautiously approached. Captain? No response. Ethan. He finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Why didn't she look at me the way she used to? No one answered. Because they all knew the truth. The look Chloe once reserved only for Ethan. She had started giving it to Logan instead. And for the first time in his life, Ethan realized that love wasn't something that waited forever. Once someone stopped chasing you, there was no guarantee they would ever turn back. Over the next 2 months, everything changed. Chloe stopped revolving her life around Ethan. She quit volunteering as the hockey team's unpaid helper. She stopped bringing drinks, towels, snacks, and Lucky Charms. She joined a photography club she'd always wanted to try. She even started spending weekends exploring cafes with classmates instead of wading through Ethan's practices. Little by little, she began living for herself. Logan never confessed. He simply appeared. If it rained, there was an umbrella beside her. If she skipped breakfast, a sandwich would quietly appear on her desk. If she complained about an assignment, he'd slide his own notes across the table without a word. His affection wasn't loud. It was steady. One afternoon, Chloe laughed. You know you're terrible at being romantic. Logan looked up from his textbook. I wasn't trying to be. You've been taking care of me for 2 months. I have. You have. He thought for a moment. Habit. She burst into laughter. That's somehow even sweeter. The tips of his ears turned red again. Meanwhile, Ethan's relationship with Brianna wasn't as perfect as everyone imagined. Without Chloe quietly handling everything behind the scenes, problems surfaced one after another. He forgot practice schedules. His skates weren't sharpened before games. His gear wasn't repaired after breaking. He even missed a charity event because nobody reminded him. One day Brianna frowned. Why are you looking at your phone every 5 minutes? I'm not. You've checked it 12 times. Have I? He hadn't even realized. He was waiting for Chloe to text, to apologize, to ask for help. She never did. The breaking point came during an away game. Ethan took a hard hit into the boards. His shoulder slammed against the glass. As trainers rushed over, he instinctively looked into the stands. For years, whenever he got hurt, Chloe was always the first person running toward the tunnel, nearly crying. This time, she wasn't there. Instead, across the arena, he spotted her laughing as Logan handed her a cup of hot chocolate. Logan gently brushed a snowflake from her hair. She smiled up at him so naturally. Ethan forgot the pain in his shoulder. His chest hurt far more. That night he couldn't sleep. He opened an old photo album on his phone. Thousands of pictures. Almost everyone included Chloe. Birthdays, school festivals, middle school graduations. His first hockey trophy. She had always been there. He had simply assumed. She always would be. The next morning, Ethan showed up outside Chloe's classroom. Students immediately slowed down to watch. When she came out with Logan beside her, Ethan stepped in front of them. Can we talk? Chloe looked at Logan. I'll wait over there, Logan said quietly. She nodded before facing Ethan. What is it? Ethan looked at her for a long moment. Then with visible difficulty he admitted, I miss you. Chloe smiled sadly. I know. I think. His voice cracked. I made a mistake. She was silent. I thought you'd always be there. I know. Can you give me another chance? For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, Chloe shook her head. No. Why? Because. She glanced toward Logan, who was patiently waiting several yards away, pretending not to listen. Someone else taught me what it feels like to be chosen first. And once you've experienced that. She looked back at Ethan with gentle finality. You can't go back to begging for second place. She walked away. Logan naturally reached for her backpack, carrying it over one shoulder as they left together. Ethan stood alone in the hallway. Only now did he realize the cruelest part wasn't that Chloe loved someone else. It was that she looked genuinely happy without him. Epilogue 7 years later. The television in the airport lounge was broadcasting the championship game. The commentator's excited voice echoed through the terminal. Logan Vance scores again. That's his third championship, and he's just been named Finals MVP. The camera found Logan on the ice. Still calm. Still intimidating. The only difference was the gold band on his left hand. The reporter laughed. Captain Vance, you've won everything there is to win. What's the first thing you're going to do? Logan didn't hesitate. Go home. The reporter blinked. That's it. My wife doesn't like waiting. The arena erupted into laughter. At that very moment, Chloe was sitting in the living room of their house, editing photographs while their 2-year-old daughter waddled around wearing an oversized toy hockey helmet. Mommy, the little girl held up a crayon drawing. It's Daddy. Chloe smiled. That's beautiful. The front door opened. Before Logan could even take off his shoes, a tiny blur ran toward him. Daddy, he effortlessly scooped his daughter into his arms. I missed you. I watched you on TV. Did you? She nodded proudly. You scored. Logan kissed the top of her head. I did. Then he looked at Chloe. Without saying a word, he walked over and kissed her forehead, just as naturally as breathing. Welcome home. I'm home. Across the city, another interview was taking place. Ethan had also made it to the professional league. He had rebuilt his career after college and become one of the league's most respected veterans. He never married. When a reporter asked him the question fans had wondered for years, he smiled. Captain Carter, is there anyone you've ever regretted losing? The room became quiet. After a long pause, Ethan answered honestly. Yes. I met someone who loved me unconditionally. I thought she'd always be there. So I took her for granted. He looked directly into the camera. If you're lucky enough to have someone who chooses you every day, choose them back. Don't wait until they're gone. That evening, the professional league held its annual awards banquet. Players from every team attended. It was the first time Ethan and Logan had spoken face-to-face in years. Logan walked over first. They shook hands. No hard feelings? Logan asked. Ethan smiled. None. He glanced across the ballroom. Chloe was laughing with Logan's parents while their daughter tried to steal desserts from the buffet. She looked happy. Truly happy. Ethan chuckled. You know. You saved her. Logan shook his head. No. I just loved her. Ethan looked at Chloe one last time before quietly saying, I should have done that. He raised his glass. Take care of them. I will. As the banquet ended, Logan slipped his hand into Chloe's. She looked up at him. What? You've been staring at me all night. He answered without embarrassment. I'm allowed. Why? You're my wife. She laughed. So. He smiled, the same small smile that had once shocked an entire college hockey team. I waited a long time to hold your hand. I'm not wasting another day. She intertwined their fingers. Outside, snow began to fall. 5 years earlier, she had believed her future ended on a rainy highway. Instead, that rainy night had become the beginning of the life she was always meant to have. Sometimes a second chance isn't about changing the person you love. It's about finally seeing the person who had been quietly loving you all along.